This is lecture 8 of the electronics course, and we are continuing our discussion about op-amp circuits. So in the last lecture, we looked at the Schmitt trigger, and uh, you can see that this is an example of a circuit that has what we call positive feedback. Now today we are going to be looking at some more examples of circuits which have positive feedback, and in particular we will find that positive feedback leads to oscillations. So we will have these circuits which have positive feedback, and their output will keep changing its state from high to low or across various voltage values. So this brings us to what we call the Barkhausen conditions for getting oscillations in any circuit. So suppose we have some circuit with gain given by A. So it has some input and it has some output. And now what we are going to do is we are going to create a feedback loop and the feedback fraction is what we call B. What we mean is that a fraction B of the output is taken and sent back to the input. So this is your feedback loop. Now Barkhausen's criteria or conditions in order to get sustained oscillations in this circuit there are two of them. The first says that the gain multiplied by the feedback fraction should be 1. The second condition says that if we are talking about AC signals, then the phase shift around the feedback loop should be some integer multiple of 2 pi. Why is that? Suppose you have some in your circuit without the loop, if you have some particular phase, and then if in the feedback fraction, if you're sending back a signal at a different phase, then in principle you could have destructive interference between these two waves and they could cancel each other out. So if you have a phase shift which is an integral multiple of 2 pi, then they just enhance each other, they don't cancel out, and that allows you to have sustained oscillations. So these two conditions are required in order to have oscillations in any kind of circuit that has positive feedback. So let's, once you do that, once you satisfy these two conditions, you can have your output looking like this as a square wave, or you could generate a sine wave, and so on and so forth. So let's look at some circuits which have, which give us an oscillating output. So the first circuit we'll look at is what is called the relaxation oscillator. So the circuit for this looks like this: minus, plus, so Here is your positive feedback loop. And now over here, I'm going to put an RC circuit. You will notice something over here. There is no input in this circuit. So this is not a waveform converter. Previously, we have seen waveform converters. In your assignment, for example, you designed a circuit in which you converted a square wave into a triangular wave. We have seen recently with the comparator and the Schmitt trigger, we've seen a circuit which converts a sine wave into a square wave. Those are waveform converters because they take in an input waveform and then they convert it into some output waveform, which could be different. This is not like that. This is a waveform generator. Without taking any input, it just generates its own kind of oscillating wave. So this is a waveform generator, not a waveform converter. So let's try and understand how this circuit works. First of all, what is the feedback fraction? B. Feedback fraction is just, if you think of this as being a voltage divider circuit, then this is just R1 divided by R1 plus R2. And this is your reference voltage over here. So let's try and analyze this circuit. So first, suppose the output stage is currently in plus Vsat. Okay, then your Vref is going to be plus B Vsat. So the tripping point will be when V minus crosses this value. Now initially, since V out is at plus Vsat, your capacitor starts charging. See, you can think of this as being an RC circuit, right? And we have already studied how RC circuits charge and discharge. So we can see how much is the voltage over here. The voltage over here will just be the voltage across the capacitor. So that is what we are interested in looking at. So the capacitor starts charging towards plus Vsat. I mean, if nothing else were to happen, then eventually the charge in the capacitor would increase to an extent that the voltage would become V out. So let us make a plot. So over here, I'm going to plot the voltage across the capacitor. And over here, I'm going to plot the output, V out. So I'm saying initially, our output is at plus Vsat. So the capacitor is trying to charge. So there is some charging happening over here. And we have seen how capacitors charge. Now they charge like this, as we have seen in our discussion on RC circuits. But your Vref is plus B Vsat. So suppose this is your plus B Vsat. which we will call the upper trip point. You see, the moment your capacitor voltage comes till here, now we are in trouble because suddenly the output will change state because we have crossed the trip point. So when VC crosses sorry, when VC crosses plus B VSAT, output becomes negative because it has tripped. So all of a sudden, V out comes here, minus VSAT. Now output has become minus VSAT. So now if you look at your RC circuit, now suddenly your capacitor will want to discharge. So C starts to discharge. Towards minus VSAT. How does discharging go? Discharging goes like this. Again, depending on the time constant which is given by the RC product. So RC is a time constant. Depending on how large or how small RC is, your charging or discharging time will vary. So C is starting to discharge that side, but notice now that your Vref has changed. Now Vref is minus B VSAT. So let's mark that out. Suppose this is minus B VSAT, which we will call the LTP, lower tripping point. Now the moment your capacitor voltage crosses this, again your Vout will trip. So now your Vout trips again to plus VSAT. Capacitor will say, okay, now I need to charge. So capacitor goes up, but again at some point it will cross UTP. So again output will go to minus VSAT. Again this fellow starts discharging, and so on and so forth. So you have these cycles of charging and discharging of the capacitor, and that drives your output into plus VSAT minus VSAT, plus VSAT minus VSAT. So it keeps oscillating like that, and that gives you a square wave output. Without requiring any input, you are just on your own producing this kind of oscillating output voltage. Let's try and analyze this mathematically. So suppose first we are looking at the charging. So in charging we have an RC circuit with source equals plus VSAT. See, in this RC circuit, you have capacitor, you have resistor, and you have your source. That source is just the output voltage, which is VSAT. So basically when you write your equation, you get VSAT is IR plus Q by C, which is this. This is exactly what we had done in lecture 2, I think. So then this is a differential equation, and you can try and solve it. So here is a separation of variables. Yeah. And now we can integrate this. how are you? So what are the limits of integration? So when t goes from 0 to, let's call it t charging, q goes from qLTP to qUTP. I mean, we've been talking in terms of uh, the voltage at which the tripping happens. But for the capacitor, then if you just divide that by C, then you will get the charging at the charge level at which this tripping happens. So when you do this integration, I'm just going to write down the final result over here from my notes. What you end up with is log Vsat minus VUTP but you will remember that VUTP is just plus B Vsat and VLTP is just minus B Vsat. So if you put those over here, you get T charging is just RC log 1 plus B over 1 minus B. So this is the equation which tells you how much time your capacitor takes to charge. Now same kind of analysis you can also do for the discharging part. And now you must remember that you are discharging towards minus Vsat. And then you will again get a similar equation over there. So the total time period of the full sine wave is T charging plus T discharging, which is twice RC log 1 plus beta or 1 plus B over 1 minus B. So this is the formula for the time period of your relaxation oscillator. And then of course if you want the frequency, then that is just 1 over time. Now I want to once again specify that in this circuit there is no input. Without giving you any external input, you're just producing a square wave by itself. So there is a special name for this kind of circuit. This is called an astable multivibrator. Why is it called astable? Because it has two states, the high state plus Vsat and the low state minus Vsat, and both of these are completely unstable. If you are in the upper state, then after some time automatically your circuit will switch to the lower state. If you're in the lower state, after some time automatically your circuit will switch to the upper state. So both of these are completely unstable states. You don't have to do anything in the circuit. Automatically it will just keep switching up, down, up, down, up, down. So that's why this circuit is also called the astable multivibrator.